Hello and good morning.
Hello.
This is not the dodeca-ohoco episode.
No, that's next week.
I know, so this one sucks.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's going to be a great vlog, it's just the numbering sucks.
I suppose.
Yeah, no one likes 27.
27 was an okay year to be alive.
Yeah, like 00027.
No. Like being 27 years old.
Oh. I think I was like 27 the year 27.
No, you were. I was 29, I think.
Well, yeah.
Because I think you're 2 years younger than me.
I know. That's why I'm so beautiful. Anyway, on to the topic at hand. We had a couple questions that we'd love to answer. We left with some of the other ones, but we won't talk about those. So, but one of the questions that came over, and actually we got it a couple times, so it's good to actually answer this one. And that is, where did the creation of the Vocare and Regnum come from on a creative level? But I think we should also talk about where they came from a mythological level as well.
So the Vocare ad Regnum, loosely translated in Latin, is the call to reign, or a call to glory. So the name itself is symbolic of what they are and what inspired them. And when you make a fantasy character, the fantasy character has to be special. But at the same time, Superman is boring when he's invincible and he's fighting human beings. And the human beings can't really do anything to him. So you have to make your fantasy characters, I think, special, but they still have to be the underdog when they're going up against a bad guy. So the Vocare ad Regnum came out of that need for what makes people look at the main character in the video game and understand that that character is something special, but at the same time makes them heroic in that they go up against impossible odds and win. So, every Ober Maer'sheb has a Vocare ad Regnum. So every hero in this world has a call to glory. The Vocare ad Regnum is an immortal being that when an Ober Maer'sheb is born, the Vocare ad Regnum awakens, comes out of its stone statue, and bonds with that Ober Maer'sheb. They're not omniscient and they're not omnificent. They don't know everything, and they can't see everything, but because they've shared the lifetimes of all these other heroes, they know a great deal, and they help guide the Ober Maer'sheb through their lives and through their challenges. They're not perfect. They're not powerful in any way, except for that if they help their hero get through tasks and to do great things. So it's one of the things that makes Ober Maer'sheb special. The way they look is this kind of twisted up creature. They kind of stand. If they stood up straight, they'd stand twice as tall as a human being, but they stand kind of bird-like with their legs crushed down as if they're lifting a heavy weight. They walk with a cane. They kind of waddle's not a good word for it, but shuffle along. And it's kind of that idea that everybody I think everybody has a calling to do something great, but everybody who has that calling to do something great, has all this doubt and this social pressure to stay in line, to conform, to
get a
not
real
stand
job.
out, to get a real job. And so the image is of this huge thing that is pushed down on, essentially.
Like the weight of the world is on their shoulders type thing.
Right.
And it's interesting that you bring up the translation, A Call to Reign, which oddly enough is, I believe, the title of the webcomic series, correct?
Correct. And
So
we're working on getting back on that, but it's our artist and our production designer has been having some personal things going on, and so we're just waiting for him to be ready to come back to work.
Yep. We understand that kind of thing.
We do.
So.
Do you want to keep talking, or do
Oh,
we
I always
ignore
want to keep
the
talking.
buzzer?
I don't really potentially anyway.
Yeah, we took the 5-minute thing off of there, so
Yeah. And then, so since it obviously is in the title for the webcomic, so does that webcomic maybe have to do with that call that they receive from the Ober Maer'sheb, that need to fulfill their glory
Well, and
in a whole?
the Call to Rain comic book is about Constant and Karios when they are Ober Maer'sheb. So it's a lot about what made them renowned heroes, that people knew them above most of the other Ober Maer'sheb, and what, we won't establish exactly how the empire is formed in that comic, but what sets them up to be worshipped as, pseudo gods and rulers of the world.
I see. Interesting. Well, that was a good answer. Now, that covered primarily the creative and a little bit of the mythos of them.
Right.
As far as their creation. And you're going to have to find out who the Ober Maer'sheb is in Fallen Star, and who the Vocare Regnum is.
And in the games.
And in the games.
You'll play an Ober Maer'sheb with your own Vocare in the games.
Yes. You can have a geriatric statue following you around.
A geriatric statue. Great.
It's awesome. Yeah, we call him Atlas. 2,000
No, they're
year old
all
Atlas.
called Vocare at Regnum. They don't
Okay.
have individual names.
Aw.
Nope.
But we can name him George, and we can pet him and
Nope.
love him and squeeze him. And
Nope. They refer to each other as my friend, and that's about it.
Yeah, they have arthritis. So terrible. I feel for him. I know when the joints start hurting.
They don't have arthritis.
It's always when the weather comes, the knees swell up. Like, it's going to rain, I feel it in my knees.
They don't have arthritis.
You know who should play them?
You can't really say they're geriatric. I can't really argue that they're geriatric since they are pretty much immortal.
Yeah, they're like old as shit.
Yeah. Older. Older than shit.
They're older than the dirt. Because that's what dirt's made of. Is
Quite
rock.
possibly.
They're made of rock, and the wind's been beating
They're
them
not
down.
made of rock.
They just have a rocky look to them.
No.
No Radrian.
When they're awake with an Ober Maer'sheb, they look flesh and blood.
Okay.
It's when they sleep. When they go to sleep, it's when they turn to stone.
Like
It's
the
kind of-
gargoyles?
Yeah, it's kind of a gargoyle thing.
Sweet! Dude, was that Michael Duncan? No, that wasn't. What was his name? That was the voice of gargoyles.
Well, there's Keith David was Goliath.
Yes.
And then there was the evil one that was Michael Dorn.
Michael Dorn,
Who
yeah.
was Worf.
Yeah, he's
and
awesome.
then you had Riker as the bad guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. That was a pretty good cartoon.
Yeah, it was a great cartoon. I liked that cartoon
Yeah.
a lot as a kid.
I liked it as a teenager. And as a kid. And as an adult.
Yes.
I will never stop watching cartoons, Mom. Never.
We should probably call it.
Yeah, totally. Have a good evening. And next week is the dodeca-ohoco.
Next week is 28 weeks of us for 5 or more minutes
Yeah, close to 10.
on average.
Have a good weekend.